All right, we have a unique setup here. Welcome back to Indian Trace. I always try to find a unique way to illustrate things and share, uh, the benefits that collecting has brought me. And what I have, take a look at this. I've got another group of 5 right there. And there's a rhyme to the reason. These pink tags indicate sites that you've heard of. You've heard of places like Mecca. You've heard of places like the Archaic, the Falcon, Cascade, the Cove. What I did is I just pulled off the top of my head about 10 of my, I don't know, I hate to call them top sites because there's a lot of sites that do share really great artifacts. But today I wanted to just do a brief and just pull 3 to 5 points from each one of these sites. And without any rhyme or reason, I'll just start here with Cascade and do a little bit of a tour and show you specifically. Now, you've seen some of these in the past, even years ago, found, but to show you the site identification with it and then the artifacts for each site and just go through them. It's really easy just to pull them right out, and I know where they came from. I can remember the day, I can remember the place, conditions, that sort of thing. So the Cascade are site 6 points, but just great stuff. Absolute. A lot of these are just off the top shelf G10 stuff, and I thought it was just probably going to be a lot of fun to illustrate them with a little bit of signage that indicates the site, because when people are watching, they'll often hear me say I'm at so-and-so site, or Cascade, or Back Pass, or Cross Creek, or North Gill, or whatever. But anyway, for what it's worth, I think it looks pretty cool when you see them by sight. Those come off the Cascade. And what comes out of Falcon? Well, the Falcon has other things in it. Other people were there. And like I said, these are not all, there's no rhyme or reason in terms of the one I chose. I just chose pieces that were a little bit of my favorites. Easy to get to, just pull them off and say, okay, that's from the Falcon. Tangerine type of quartz. And they did work the back side of this exactly the way they wanted to. It's worked right off. It has a relief on the back. It's a great tip. Just, these are outstanding artifacts that I'm thankful for, and I wanted to show you in perspective. Great points from the Falcon. Now we'll just jump over here to the Cove. Many of you have heard me say I'm at the Cove and to find this or find that. Here's some points off the Cove. When it's a little bit slower, I have a little extra time, I like to try to do some unique display videos for people. Great stuff. And the point there that's green, this rhyolite point, was literally right in the footstep, just completely stepped on by one of the planters about 3 years ago that was planting tobacco out there. Just a fresh footprint, just step right on it. I'm thankful that they're busy planting the crops for what we need for agriculture. And look at this Guilford in quartz, pretty rare. You'll see that Guilfords don't come in quartz that often, and of course that's been seen on here before. It's a nice little point off the Cove. What do we have to say about Mecca? You've heard that name before. I didn't have to reach too far. Tons of top shelf stuff from Mecca. I didn't even know where to begin. And Mecca is surrounded by some other great habitations. Quality rhyolite out of sweet potatoes. I'll never forget it. That was stark naked when I found that. Doing some work with sugar quartz at Mecca. Banded quartz. These banded quartz pieces are absolutely translucent too. I don't know if the the lighting here will do any justice for it. I don't think so. Just can't get that in focus real well. It's an absolutely great piece of quartz work down. Sort of crystal and milky quartz. And the stuff they did with rhyolite. Look at this. Mecca. Impeccable. Marl Mountain. Not forgetting a little teeny smoker. Little view of what comes off of Mecca. Now let's see what comes off of the Archaic. Tons of points out there. Of course, that's big. That Guilford G10. Now there's been quite a few G10s that I found out there. The Archaic's been around a while. I remember the first really significant point I found out there was a Rowan, and I didn't even know what to think. I didn't even know how to be as happy as I should, I guess. But then they just kept coming in. You know how it is. Great point. Serrated piece. Cortex left on it. It's ground heavily on the bottom. It was cortex and just smooth as can be. Just look at that. They just hit that flake of rock off and then went to work on a point that would just do the job they needed it to. Just a great illustration. Quartz Rowan from there. We'll get to the clay pot next. I mean, the Archaic's right next door to the clay pot. Another little point from there. Alright, that's the Archaic. Satisfies the appetites of some of you guys out there and girls that absolutely love these artifacts and love to see them clean and up close from many of the sites that I host, I guess you could say. Appreciate you tuning in to Indian Trace. Hope you find out there.